Hi, this is Mike Maloney, and I wanted to make a couple of quick comments about an article that was just recently released that details a bunch of Prince's assets that he held when he died. One of the main revelations of this article is something that I want to show you, and I want to give you a completely different angle on it. The government and the mainstream press do this very often when it comes. They don't like gold. Gold constrains governments. Gold threatens fiat currencies, and the mainstream financial sector can't make a profit off of you as easily through gold as they can on stocks and bonds and all of the standard financial assets. What bugs me here is the way that the general media, and the government is guilty of this, they skew things. They give people a false perception of things by picking out certain words. I always find it interesting that if you hoard cash, if you're hoarding $100 bills or a big bank account, the government and the media call that savings. If you hoard stocks, they call that investing. But if you save or invest in gold, they call that hoarding. And this is almost the only case where they call it hoarding. You've never heard of somebody hoarding stocks and bonds. You've never heard of somebody hoarding cash. They hoard gold for some reason, according to the government and so on. Now, yes, he had 67 10-ounce bars of gold, worth about $836,000. However, he also had $25 million in real estate properties. It says more than. And he had 4 companies that had $6 million in cash lying around. Now, companies that have $6 million of cash lying around, when a company is sold, it's valued by a multiple of how much profits it makes each year, plus the assets. And this $6 million would have been part of those assets. So you take that $6 million plus the profits that it was making. And if it had this much cash lying around, my guess is that these companies were worth somewhere between $25 and $100 million. So now you've got 50 to $100 million or more dollars that his estate was worth, only $863,000 worth of gold. That means that the gold was actually less than 2% of his assets, possibly less than 1%, and they're labeling him a Scrooge McDuck because of the gold that he held. If he didn't have the gold, they wouldn't have put the words Scrooge McDuck or hoarding in there. And this is, like I said, less than 2% of his assets. So this is the general media giving this a very dark spin to try and create this bad feeling, bad connotation around gold for some crazy reason. For me, I consider it prudent to hold at least 10% of your portfolio in gold. I hold much, much more. I'm very, very heavily weighted toward precious metals. I have a little bit of cash, but almost everything that I have is in precious metals. And this means that, Prince was acting on his beliefs by having this gold. But again, being less than 2%, it means that he's just very slightly stepping out of the mainstream financial system that imprisons 99% of the planet. People really need to learn more about the differences between money and currency. Everybody thinks that we use money today, but there isn't a single country on the planet that uses money. They all use currency, and there is a fundamental difference. It's part of the definitions of money versus currency. The fiat national currencies that are continually inflated and thus lose purchasing power do not qualify as money, because money has to be a store of value, and that has to also apply over very long periods of time. And currency does not qualify. And, there's a quote that I'd like to leave you with. I studied a little bit about Prince before making this recording, and there was a portion of his life where he used to write the word slave on his face when he would make public appearances. And part of that was due to the disputes that he had with Warner Brothers Records. And he felt like he was a slave of the corporation that held his contracts and a slave to the system. And the quote is that gold is the money of kings, silver is the money of gentlemen, barter is the money of peasants, but debt is the money of slaves. So if you want to learn more about why saving in gold is actually a good idea compared to hoarding fiat currency, click the link to the video, and thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.